Let's hear part of the Christmas story as told by St. Luke from chapter 2 from verse 16. The angels had just visited the shepherds and told them about the baby. And this is what's happened. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby, who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. And the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they'd heard and seen, which was just as they had been told. If you bear with me for a second, I'm going to get a visitor to come and speak to you. Hello, it's nice to be here. My name's Joseph, and I want to share with you my experiences of that special day. I must confess, I was tired, and I was a bit weary. I hadn't slept for days as we had walked from Nazareth all the way to Bethlehem for the census. I tried to keep telling Mary not to come, but she insisted. She was heavily pregnant, and it wasn't going to be long until she had a baby, but she walked with me for days to get to our hometown of Bethlehem. You see, I had to go there because that's where my ancestors come from, and so I had to be registered in my hometown. I can't tell you how I felt, because my relatives would have nothing to do with us, because Mary was pregnant, and we weren't yet fully married at that point. We obviously, they thought, would have brought shame on them. Even my brother turned his back on us. The innkeepers all said they were fully booked because of the census, until one kind person offered us a stable at the back of his hotel. At that time, Mary had gone into labour, and the baby was about to arrive at any moment, and the women from the hotel came out and were fussing all over her, handing out orders at what I had to do. But they made it quite clear I was not part of this. This was their job, and they had delivered lots of babies. It's strange, really, because I never felt I was part of this baby. When Mary told me she was pregnant, I knew for certain I was not the father. She swore she'd never been with another man, and it was God who had made her pregnant through the Holy Spirit. And I was taking that in. She left to visit her cousin Elizabeth, and I couldn't believe her. I wanted to. I wanted to break the engagement. But after a few nights' restless sleep, I kept hearing a voice, it was almost a dream, telling me that I should stick by Mary, that she was telling the truth, that the child was special, and I was to have a role in caring and bringing this child up within our faith tradition. It sounded like the same voice that Mary talked about. Well, I love Mary. I really did love her. And after days of wrestling with what she told me, I said I would stick with her. And now look, a baby lying there wrapped in cloths in a manger. Look at that smile, those eyes, those tiny little fingers and toes, that wee nose and mouth. Everything about him looks just perfect. And I feel like any other proud dad. Dad, Could I really be a dad to this child? This is God's son, not mine. Yet because he is God's son, he is also a child of mine. None of our family came to visit us when the news broke that Jesus was born. But some shepherds came from the cold, having witnessed, they said, choirs of angels telling them that Jesus, the Messiah no less, had been born. Sometime later, there were kings or wise men, it depends who you speak to. They came from the east. They said they'd followed a star to be here, and they brought expensive and unusual presents for our special baby: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. You know, something very wonderful happened. The light of the world has come, and I believe we all have something to live and hope for now. Whatever lies ahead for Mary, Jesus, and me, I trust God will see us through it. And because of Jesus' birth, I just know that he will see us through everything that the world throws at us. And what is good for me today is good for all of us. For the baby was born not just to bring joy into my life, and oh me, he hasn't half, but to bring hope and joy and love into the world. And I do really hope that you shall feel some of that love. Well, I better leave you now. I've got to get back to the wife and my son, because I have to look after them and know that Jesus, in time, will look after us all. What a lovely day for a birthday present. A child of mine, the child of God, Jesus. Well, bye now. I better go and see what Mary's needing now. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you to Joseph for telling us his story. We're now going to sing Come and Join the Celebrants. Let our hearts be full of joy, just as Joseph was when he told us the story of the birth of his son, of God's Son, Jesus Christ.